The crystal champagne flute trembles in my hand as I stand alone at the San Jose Country Club bar, watching my cousin Claire's engagement party unfold like a glossy magazine spread. Perfect lighting. Perfect flowers. Perfect family smiles that never quite reach their eyes when they land on me. I check my phone again. No messages from Logan. The sleek designer watch he gave me for Christmas shows 7:45 p.m. in Zurich. He should be done with his consulting meeting by now. Julia, darling. My mother's voice carries that particular lilt she reserves for public performances. She's steering an older couple toward me, her pearl necklace catching the light. This is the Andersons, their new members. A practiced smile. This is Julia. She's between relationships right now. I bite back the correction. 2 years engaged to Logan, and she still pretends he doesn't exist. The Andersons murmur polite greetings and mercifully move on, champagne glasses in hand. My phone buzzes. Finally. But it's just my team in Dubai confirming tomorrow's client presentation. I need somewhere quiet to call Logan, to hear his voice ground me in reality, before I float away on a sea of family fiction. The hallway leading to the ladies' room offers blessed silence after the tinkling laughter and clinking glasses of the main room. My heels click against marble as I dial Logan's number. Then I hear it. Laughter floating from around the corner. My mother's voice, and Aunt Patricia's parting, sharing that particular cadence of gleeful mockery I remember from childhood. 2 years engaged to a man no one's ever met. My mother's words slur slightly. Who does that? Aunt Patricia's answering laugh sounds like breaking glass. Aviation consultant? Is that what we call flight attendants now? I've started calling him her imaginary fiancé when she can't hear. My mother again, her voice thick with amusement. Poor thing, always trying to keep up with Claire. The phone slips from my suddenly numb fingers, clattering against marble. Tears burn behind my eyes but don't fall. I won't give them that satisfaction, even if they can't see me. The memories rush in like tide water. Me at 22, standing in our kitchen as Dad's face turned that particular shade of purple reserved for major disappointments. Law school is your future, Julia. This art school nonsense is throwing your life away. Mom wringing her hands in the background. Graphic design is a lovely hobby, sweetheart, but it's not a career. The Christmas video calls after I moved to Europe. Mom's tight smile as I shared news about my growing client list. That's nice, dear, but did you hear? Claire made junior partner at her firm. My fingers find the textured wallpaper, grounding me in the present. The past is a dangerous place to linger tonight. I remember the first time I saw Logan across a crowded conference room in Zurich. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. How he listened intently as I presented my branding concepts for his airline client. The immediate connection that felt like coming home, even though home had never actually felt that way. The work is exceptional, he'd said afterward. Your family must be incredibly proud. I'd laughed then, a short, sharp sound. They think I'm playing at having a career while looking for a husband. His hand had covered mine, warm and steady. Then they don't know you at all. The memory of calling Mom to share our engagement still stings. The long silence before her careful response. Is this real, Julia? Or are you just trying to keep up with Claire? Logan's words that night echo in my head. They'll understand someday. Build your life first. I straighten my spine, check my reflection in a gilt-framed mirror. My green silk dress falls perfectly, chosen to project success without trying too hard. The diamond on my left hand catches the light, solid and real as the man who gave it to me. Julia, Claire's voice carries down the hallway. We need you for the family toast. I smooth my dress, touch up my lipstick. Perfect the mask I've worn at every family gathering since I was old enough to understand that being myself wasn't enough. My phone buzzes again. A text from Logan. Finished early, missing you. Something shifts inside my chest, like tectonic plates realigning. I've spent my whole life trying to prove myself worthy of this family's approval. Tonight, I finally understand their approval was never the prize I thought it was. My fingers fly across the phone screen. Now, please come now. Claire appears at the end of the hallway, radiant in white. There you are. Mom wants you to say a few words. I slip my phone into my clutch, straighten my shoulders. Of course she does. The walk back to the main room feels different now. Each step carries the weight of a decision years in the making. They want a toast? I'll give them one they'll never forget. My mother beams as I approach the microphone, probably expecting another perfectly polite performance. She has no idea what's coming. None of them do. The crystal stemware weighs heavy in my hand as I step toward the microphone. My mother beams from her carefully chosen spot near the front, no doubt expecting another of my perfectly polite performances. The same smile she wore through 2 decades of piano recitals and debate tournaments, watching me hit all the right notes while missing the music entirely. When two people find each other, I begin, letting my gaze drift across the sea of expectant faces. They deserve a foundation of belief and support. The words float across the reception hall, carried by the venue's precise acoustics. Claire and Michael have that foundation in spades. Every step of their journey celebrated, documented, believed. A champagne flute clinks against a butter knife somewhere in the back. Someone coughs. My mother's smile slips, just a fraction as my eyes find hers. Some people never receive that support. The words land soft but sharp, like snow before a storm. Some build their lives while those closest to them whisper doubts behind closed doors and country club bathrooms. My mother's fingers tighten around her glass. Aunt Patricia shifts in her chair, that particular rustle of silk that always accompanied her judgments. So here's to those blessed with family who believe in them without proof, without question. I raise my glass, ice cracking in the silence, and to those who succeed anyway. The applause comes scattered and uncertain, like the first drops of rain. Maria appears at my elbow as I step away from the microphone, her hand warm against my arm. I wanted to tell you, she whispers, her phone screen glowing between us. They've been saying this for years. The family group chat scrolls beneath her thumb. Words jump out like neon signs in the dark. Maybe she needs therapy. No real career. Inventing relationships to compete with Claire. My father's voice drifts from a nearby table. Julia's going through a phase. The same dismissal he used when I left law school, when I moved to Europe. When I built my first international client portfolio. A phase lasting 15 years. Your brother told the Hendersons your international career was mostly freelance work. Maria adds, her voice barely audible above the string quartet. Like you're sitting in a coffee shop designing logos instead of running global campaigns. The weight of years of dismissal settles across my shoulders like a familiar shawl. My mother holds court near the gift table, Aunt Patricia at her right hand like always. The perfect power couple. One to plant the seeds of doubt, one to water them with whispers until they bloom into full-grown lies. Did you see the wedding magazines? Maria's words carry an edge of anger I've never heard from her before. Your mother showed them to Claire last month. At least one daughter will have a proper wedding. Like you're some cautionary tale instead of a success story. A server passes with fresh champagne. Maria snags 2 glasses, pressing one into my hand. You know who's been surprisingly decent about all this? Claire. She shut down Mom the other day when she started in on your imaginary life in Dubai. My phone buzzes against my hip. Logan's message lights up the screen. 3 minutes out, ready? The room shifts around me, familiar faces arranging themselves into new patterns. Rebecca slips through the doorway, fashionably late as always. One look at my face and eyebrows draw together. She knows me well enough to read the storm brewing behind my careful smile. She'll leave early like always, my mother's voice carries from behind a massive flower arrangement. Can't sustain these stories forever. The master of ceremonies taps his microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be concluding our toast before dinner service begins. My Dubai team's presentation deck flashes through my mind, the one my family dismissed as playing at business last Christmas. The one that just landed us a contract worth more than my father's annual partner draw. The marble floor clicks beneath my heels as I cross to where my mother stands, still holding court over her circle of friends. For once, I don't curve my spine to make myself smaller in her presence. I've never lied to you about my life, I say, my voice steady as a heartbeat. Not once, remember that. Something flickers behind her eyes, discomfort, maybe even fear, before the practiced smile slides back into place. Of course, darling, we've always supported your creative endeavors. The first throb of helicopter blades cuts through the evening air. My mother's head snaps up, recognition dawning in her eyes as they meet mine. She knows that sound, has bragged often enough about my father's clients arriving for dinner parties in their private choppers. But this time, the sound carries a different message. Sometimes the truth doesn't whisper. Sometimes it roars. Have you ever been subjected to years of doubt by those who should believe in you most? What evidence would it take to change their minds? For Julia's family, it was about to land on their perfectly manicured lawn. The whir of helicopter blades slices through evening conversation. Champagne flutes pause midway to lips. In the garden, strings of fairy lights tremble. Someone must be lost. My mother's voice carries that familiar note of forced calm. She shoots a pointed look at the club manager hovering near the terrace doors. I'll check with traffic control. My father pulls out his phone, already shifting into problem-solving mode. The larger venue down the road sometimes gets helicopter arrivals. Aunt Patricia's laugh rings hollow across the room. Claire, darling, did you arrange a surprise for your engagement party? Claire shakes her head, confusion plain on her face. I take a slow sip of champagne, letting the bubbles dance on my tongue. The moment I've orchestrated unfolds exactly as planned, yet my hands tremble slightly as I set down my glass. The club doesn't allow unauthorized landings. My mother announces to anyone within earshot. She smooths her silk dress, a gesture I recognize from childhood, her tell when things spin beyond her control. The sound grows louder, conversations stutter and stop. Silver-haired men in blazers drift toward the floor-to-ceiling windows. Women in designer dresses exchange glances, their jewelry catching the light as they crane their necks. I move toward the terrace doors. Each step feels weightless, like I'm floating through a dream I've rehearsed 1,000 times. The garden lights illuminate my path, casting my shadow long across the marble floor. My mother's fingers close around my wrist. Julia, where are you going? I turn to face her, gentle but immovable. To greet my fiancé. Her fingers slip away. In her eyes, I catch the first flicker of understanding and fear. The helicopter appears over the tree line, sleek and black against the purple dusk. Its landing lights sweep across manicured lawns and sculpted topiaries. Julia. My mother's voice has lost its performance polish. This disruption is unnecessary. I don't respond. The time for words passed long ago, somewhere between imaginary fiancé and tonight's whispered mockery. Instead, I push open the terrace doors and step into the evening air. Behind me, the party has gone silent. Even the string quartet has stopped playing. I stand framed in the doorway, my green silk dress moving in the artificial wind. The moment stretches like pulled taffy, sweet with anticipation. The helicopter touches down with professional precision. The rotors slow, their rhythm fading to a whisper. When the door opens, Logan emerges like an actor hitting his mark. My breath catches. He looks exactly as I'd imagined in his charcoal suit, hair slightly windswept, every inch the successful aviation consultant. His long strides eat up the distance between us, confident and unhurried. Sorry I'm late, darling. His voice carries across the hushed garden. He bends to kiss my forehead, his hands settling at my waist with familiar warmth. Did I miss your toast? A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. I hear crystal shatter someone's grip on their champagne flute, failing spectacularly. Logan turns toward the party, his smile genuine as he spots Claire and her fiancé. Claire, Thomas, congratulations. He reaches into his jacket and produces an envelope. A small engagement gift. First-class upgrades for your honeymoon. The Maldives, right? Claire's face lights up with real pleasure. Unlike my mother, my cousin never participated in the whispered doubts. Logan, you shouldn't have. Thank you. My friend Rebecca catches my eye from across the room. Her knowing smile a balm for my racing heart. She raises her glass in a silent toast. Logan guides me back inside, his hand steady at the small of my back. We move through the crowd like water through a stream, people parting before us. My father steps forward, his face a complex map of embarrassment and calculation. Mr. Bennett. Logan extends his hand. It's wonderful to finally meet you. Julia speaks of her childhood with such fondness. My father's handshake is automatic. Years of corporate training taking over. Aviation consulting, you said? Which markets? Primarily Europe and Asia. Logan's voice carries the precise mix of authority and ease that commands boardrooms. We're expanding our presence in the Middle East. Actually, that's what delayed me to need a conference call with our Dubai team ran long. My mother hovers at the edges of the conversation, her fingers twisting her pearl necklace. Aunt Patricia has retreated to a far corner, suddenly fascinated by her phone. Other relatives drift closer. their earlier dismissal transformed into hungry curiosity. Julia. My mother's voice cracked slightly. We should have. Should have believed me? The words slip out, soft as silk, sharp as steel. Yes, you should have. Logan's hand squeezes mine, grounding me in the present. Around us, phones appear in manicured hands. I know what they're searching for: Logan's consulting firm, my international clients, the life they dismissed as fantasy. The Almahara group was particularly impressed with Julia's branding work. Logan mentions casually to my father. The contract value alone. My mother's sharp intake of breath cuts through his words. On her phone screen, I glimpse the headline: Bennett Global Branding secures historic Middle East deal. You never mentioned, she begins. I did. My voice remains steady. Every Christmas call, every birthday, you change the subject to Claire's law firm promotions. The string quartet starts playing again, but the party's rhythm has fundamentally shifted. Years of dismissal crash against the concrete reality of Logan's helicopter. My success, our life. The impact leaves my family scrambling to rewrite history. Julia has a keynote speech at the International Brand Summit next month. Logan continues smoothly. Perhaps you'd like to attend. We could arrange tits. My father's phone appears in his hand so quickly it seems to materialize. Around us, other relatives tap and scroll, their faces illuminated by the blue glow of screens showing my career, my achievements, my truth. The weight of vindication settles around my shoulders, not like a crown, more like armor I no longer need to wear. Logan's arm settles around my waist as we make our way through the reception, a physical anchor in this sea of shifting family allegiances. The helicopter sitting visible through the floor-to-ceiling windows serves as a constant reminder of everything they refuse to believe. Tell them about the Singapore airline campaign, darling. Logan's voice carries just enough for the cluster of relatives pretending not to eavesdrop. My mother's wine glass pauses halfway to her lips. The rebrand launched last month, I say, letting my voice fill with the quiet pride I've spent years suppressing. Full fleet livery redesign, lounge concepts for 13 international hubs, complete digital overhaul. Aunt Patricia's fingers tighten around her champagne stem. She spent the last hour trying to insert herself into conversations, suddenly remembering supportive comments she never made. I always told Diane you had an eye for design, didn't I, sister? My mother nods too quickly, pearls bobbing at her throat. Julia mentioned the Dubai project weeks ago. Very exciting. The lie hangs in the air between us. I haven't spoken to her in months, not since the Christmas call that ended with her suggesting I see a therapist about my need to exaggerate. Logan's thumb traces small circles against my hip, grounding me. The Almahara presentation is next week, actually. First time they've consolidated their luxury brands under one visual identity. My father materializes at my elbow, all forced business interest. Aviation consulting must be fascinating. The regulatory frameworks alone. Speaking of frameworks, my brother Tom cuts in. I always knew you'd make it big, sis. Remember when I helped you with that school project? A laugh bubbles up before I can stop it. You mean when you told me graphic design was for people who couldn't handle real jobs? The silence stretches just long enough to be uncomfortable. Claire's future mother-in-law raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. I thought you said Julia was struggling with her career? Maria, bless her, doesn't miss a beat. Funny how memories change when a helicopter lands, isn't it? My mother smooths invisible wrinkles from her silk dress. We always encouraged Julia's independence. Actually, I say softly, you called it running away from responsibility. The words land like pebbles in still water, ripples of discomfort spreading through the gathered family. Rebecca appears at my side, champagne flute extended like a shield. Remember that first client meeting in Paris? Julia stayed up 3 nights straight redoing the entire presentation because the brief changed last minute. You always knew exactly what you wanted, Claire adds, surprising me with her sincerity. A small cluster of younger cousins edges closer, eyes bright with something that looks like hope. Julia, darling. My mother's voice has taken on that particular tone she uses when orchestrating photo opportunities. We should get some pictures for the family album while everyone's here. Wonderful idea, my father chimes in. And you must let us know when you're in Europe next. We'd love to visit. Tom slides a business card from his wallet. We should grab coffee, talk about some international opportunities. The firm's looking to expand. I smile, precise as a scalpel. We'll see what the schedule allows. Logan steers us toward the terrace, reading my need for air. The night wraps around us like cool silk, city lights glittering below. Through the glass, I watch my mother's face crumple slightly when she thinks no one's looking. But Christmas is for family, she says later, cornering me by the dessert table. You always come home for Christmas. The words settle in my chest, familiar weight of obligation warring with the life I've built. I have made my home elsewhere. My father stands frozen by the bar, Manhattan untouched, as the reality of our new dynamic sinks in. I am no longer the daughter desperately seeking approval. I am a woman who arrived by helicopter to say, your approval stopped mattering. Aunt Patricia's voice drifts from behind a flower arrangement. Still showing off after all these years. Logan's hand finds mine, fingers intertwining. The diamond on my left hand catches the light, solid and real as the man beside me, as the career I've built, as the truth they spent years denying. The helicopter sits dark and elegant on the lawn outside, a period at the end of a very long sentence. But it isn't the final punctuation mark in this story. Not yet. I squeeze Logan's hand, thinking of the invitation I'll send tomorrow. Dubai in winter is lovely, after all, and some truths need to be seen in the full light of day. They cannot hurt me again. With these thoughts, we greeted everyone and went to the hotel. Tomorrow is a big day. The next day, after the reception, the phone vibrates against the hotel nightstand at 10 a.m. My mother's name flashes across the screen, accompanied by her carefully curated profile photo from last Christmas. Julia, sweetheart. Her voice carries that particular wobble that appears whenever she wants something. I've been thinking about what happened at the reception. We should reconnect as a family. I let the silence stretch, watching Logan's reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows as he moves around our suite, preparing for another consulting call. Mom, I have meetings all morning. Of course you do. The wobble transforms into something sharper. Your father wants to discuss some investment opportunities for your business. She pauses. The family business could use an international presence. My phone buzzes with incoming texts. Dad suggesting coffee to talk about your future. My brother Mike suddenly interested in expanding our horizons globally. Even Aunt Patricia has posted on Facebook, featuring a photo from Claire's engagement party with the caption, "So proud of my successful niece Julia. Family first, global business." Logan catches my eye in the reflection, raising an eyebrow. I shake my head, lips curving into a smile that holds more satisfaction than amusement. The country club membership committee meets next month, Mom continues, voice brightening. Your father could nominate you now that you're established. The word hangs between us like a poisoned apple. Established. As if my success only became real when it arrived in a helicopter. The lake house is lovely in autumn, she adds. We could update the family Christmas card. You and Logan would look wonderful on the dock. I trace my finger along the window, watching the morning sun strike the glass towers of Dubai's financial district. That's generous, Mom. Well, family is family. Her voice softens. We can put all this unpleasantness behind us. All this unpleasantness, I repeat, letting each word fall like a stone. You mean the years you spent telling everyone I was lying about my life? Julia, really? We were just concerned. Logan sets a cup of Earl Grey on the desk beside me, his hand resting briefly on my shoulder. The warmth of his palm grounds me as the realization crystallizes. They're not sorry they didn't believe me, I say after ending the call. They're sorry they can't use me. Logan leans against the desk, arms crossed. What do you want to do about it? I open my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The words flow with unexpected ease. I'd like to invite you to Dubai next month. Let me show you what I've built. 3 weeks later, I watch my parents scan the arrivals terminal, their expectations visible in their designer luggage and travel outfits. Mom's face falls slightly when she spots our waiting car. Not a luxury sedan, but a modest electric vehicle. The hotel is lovely, she manages later, as Logan guides them through the understated lobby of the Four Seasons. No gilded excess, no ostentation, just quiet, impeccable taste. We thought you'd be comfortable here, I say, watching them search for the flash and glitter they'd imagined. Dubai isn't all about spectacle. The next morning, I lead them through the glass doors of Bennett Global Branding. 30 pairs of eyes look up from sleek desks, their owners rising in greeting. Good morning, Julia, they chorus, some voices carrying accents from London, Singapore, Cape Town. Your team? Dad asks, gaze jumping from face to face. My family. I correct him quietly. I watch them absorb the wall of client logos, the industry awards, the framed magazine covers featuring my work. Through the conference room glass, they glimpse my upcoming keynote presentation for the Global Brand Summit. All this time, Mom whispers, "You really were building something?" Yes. I gestured to my office. Would you like to see more? That evening, I choose a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. The lights below mirror the stars above, creating an infinite field of possibility. For years, I say, setting my phone on the white tablecloth, you thought I was lying about my life. We were just concerned, Mom begins, reaching for her water glass. I press play. Her own voice fills the space between us. Her imaginary fiancé, followed by Aunt Patricia's laughter. I didn't invite you here for an apology. The words come steady and clear. I invited you to see the truth. Dad's face flushes that familiar purple. You brought us all this way to embarrass us? No, I meet his gaze. I brought you here so you would finally see me. Mom's tears fall, smearing her careful makeup. We were wrong about everything. Yes, you were. I take a sip of water, letting the moment settle, and that will take time to address. The city glitters below us, a constellation of lights marking paths not taken, choices that led me here. My parents sit across the table, finally seeing the daughter they never believed existed. Their approval, so desperately craved for so long, feels strangely hollow now. Logan's words from this morning echo in my mind. The greatest revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living so fully that their approval becomes irrelevant. I study their faces in the candlelight. Mom's trembling lips, Dad's rigid posture. The power to shape our relationship has shifted. Any reconciliation will happen on my terms, in my time. The knowledge settles like a warm stone in my chest. Tell me about your new project, Dad says finally, his voice rough with something that might be regret. I lean back, considering. The night stretches before us, full of possibilities and limitations. Like the city below, some paths will remain forever unexplored. Others wait to be discovered. Let's start, I say, with what's true. A week later, sunlight streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Dubai office, catching the metallic threads in the abstract tapestry I bought in Istanbul last month. Logan appears in the doorway, 2 steaming cups in hand. The familiar scent of Earl Grey fills the air as he sets one on my desk. Your 9 o'clock is ready in the conference room, he says, leaning down to kiss my temple. The design mentee from Paris? I nod, taking a sip of perfectly brewed tea. Reminds me of myself at 23. Brilliant portfolio, family who thinks graphic design is just pretty pictures on a computer. The young woman's face fills my laptop screen moments later, bright-eyed and nervous. Her portfolio spreads across my second monitor, clean lines, bold color choices, the raw talent I recognized immediately. Emma, tell me about the restaurant campaign concept. My voice carries the warmth I wished for at her age. The one your professor called too modern. She straightens, hands fluttering. My father said the same thing, that no traditional French restaurant would ever. Show me anyway. Her concept unfolds across the screen. Contemporary yet elegant, perfectly balanced between innovation and timeless appeal. My mind flashes to a portfolio review 12 years ago. My mother's pinched expression at my waste of a legal education. They're wrong. I tell Emma, watching hope bloom across her face. You understand something they don't. Tradition evolves. Book another session next week. We'll develop this further. After the call ends, I stand at the window, watching sunlight glint off the Burj Khalifa. My team fills the open office beyond my door, their quiet energy humming through the space. Voices rise and fall in English, Arabic, French, Mandarin, a symphony of creativity I built from scratch. My phone buzzes. An email from my mother. The subject line stops my breath. Family reunion, your terms. Dear Julia, the lake house is lovely in October. Logan mentioned you might have business in New York that month. No pressure. Just know you're both welcome whenever you choose. Love. Mom. No guilt trip. No manipulation. No desperate need to prove her maternal devotion to the country club crowd. Logan's arms slip around my waist from behind. Board meeting done early. What's got you smiling? I show him the email. Mom's learning. Finally. Going? Maybe. I lean back against him. On our terms. 6 weeks later, autumn sunlight dapples the lake house deck. Logan's hand rests warm against my lower back as we climb the familiar steps. No knot in my stomach. No mask of perfect daughter sliding into place. The door opens before we reach it. Mom's eyes meet mine, clear and uncertain. Julia, Logan, thank you for coming. Inside, fall-scented candles flicker on the mantel. Dad looks up from his paper, reading glasses perched on his nose. Just read about your team's award. The Hong Kong campaign? Singapore, I correct gently. But yes, the Asian market expansion exceeded projections. No dismissal. No comparison to my cousin's law firm partnership. Just my father's small nod, the beginning of understanding in his eyes. Monthly video calls followed. Awkward at first, like learning a new language. Dad asking about projects, actually listening to the answers. Mom sending articles about female entrepreneurs in the Gulf states, her handwritten notes in the margins showing she'd really read them. Aunt Patricia's absence speaks volumes. Some bridges burn for a reason. The Santorini wedding photos arrive in December. Small, intimate, perfect. Claire beside me in a sage green bridesmaid's dress, our childhood competition dissolved into genuine friendship. My parents in the background, respecting the boundaries of their new role. Rebecca's champagne toast still echoes, to believing in yourself when no one else would. Spring finds me in a Dubai conference hall, addressing a room of young designers. Many of their stories mirror my own. Families who mistake different for wrong, dreams dismissed as phases to outgrow. The helicopter story spread. I tell them, watching recognition spark. But that moment wasn't about proving anyone wrong. It was about finally being right with myself. A young woman approaches afterward, portfolio clutched to her chest. My family thinks I'm wasting my accounting degree. They don't believe I can make it in design. I see myself in her tight shoulders, her defensive grip on her work. Show me what they don't see. Mom visits the office in May. She pauses before the framed photo of Logan's helicopter landing, backlit against the country club's manicured lawn. I was so embarrassed that day. Her voice catches. Now I understand it was necessary. It wasn't about embarrassing you. I meet her eyes in the glass reflection. It was about finally being seen. I see you now. She touches the frame gently. I'm sorry it took so long. I needed you to see me then. The truth settles, peaceful as sunset over the Arabian Gulf. I don't need it anymore. Later that night, Logan and I stand on our balcony, the city lights jeweling the darkness below. Plans for the New York office expansion spread across the patio table between us. We could take the apartment in Manhattan, I muse. Be closer to family if we want. If we want. Logan's smile holds a decade of understanding. Your choice, your terms. I watch a plane's lights trace across the star-studded sky, remembering a young woman who once thought proving her worth would fix everything. The greatest revenge isn't proving them wrong. My fingers lace through Logan's. It's living so fully that their approval becomes irrelevant. The night breeze carries the scent of jasmine from the garden below. Somewhere in Paris, Emma works on her restaurant campaign. In Dubai, my team prepares tomorrow's client presentation. In a lake house in America, my mother learns to see her daughter clearly. All of us evolving, one truth at a time. I stand before the executive board of Moretti Luxury Fashions, my heart pounding against my ribs. The sketches from my youthline collection rest in my hands, vibrant and alive against the austere backdrop of the boardroom. My father, Giuseppe, watches me from the head of the polished mahogany table, his gaze cool and assessing. Not a father's gaze, a businessman's calculation. As you can see, I continue, gesturing to the color swatches and fabric samples arrayed before them. This collection speaks to the modern young woman while maintaining the Moretti standard of elegance. The fabrics are sustainable, the silhouettes both flattering and comfortable. My voice rings clear in the hushed room, my crimson blouse a splash of defiance among the sea of charcoal and black suits. On the opposite side of the table, my brothers exchange glances. Marco's mouth twitches with that familiar smirk, while Antonio pretends to study his notes. I've seen this choreography before, but today feels different. Today, I've poured 6 months of work into these designs. I finished presenting the projected sales figures and market research, concluding with a confident smile. Questions. The silence stretches, uncomfortable and telling. 8 men in identical suits staring at my work without expression. The air conditioning hums overhead, a monotonous counterpoint to my racing pulse. My father taps his pen against the table once, twice. Interesting ideas, Clara. He waves his hand dismissively, the heavy gold ring on his finger catching the light. Perhaps too avant-garde for our clientele. The words land like a slap. Too avant-garde. The same designs he praised in private last month when I sought his feedback. I open my mouth to respond, but Marco stands, smoothly inserting himself into the momentary gap. If I may, he says, pulling out a leather portfolio. Our team has been working on a youth-oriented concept as well. Our team. The words knock the air from my lungs as Marco unveils his presentation. My presentation. My concepts, my color palettes, even the sustainable fabric initiative I'd researched for months all repackaged with minimal changes. Bold but accessible, announces the board chairman, nodding approvingly. Exactly what the market needs, agrees another executive. Brilliant work, Marco, my father concludes, his face softening with pride. I stand frozen, watching my ideas stolen in real time, stripped of my fingerprints and handed to my brother like a gift. The room tilts slightly, and I grip the edge of the table to steady myself. Not here. I won't break here. The presentation, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. When did you prepare it? Marco doesn't even glance in my direction. We've been developing this concept for some time. Right, Father? Giuseppe nods, avoiding my eyes. Marco's team has been quite thorough. Marco's team. Not me. Working nights in the studio until my fingers cramped around my pencils. Not me. Missing weekends with my daughters to perfect these sketches. Not me, who'd built the youth demographic research from nothing. The memory surfaces like a bruise. Me at 23, fresh from design school, hunched over my drawing table in the back corner of the studio. My father standing over me, his hand warm on my shoulder. One day, Clara, all this will be yours to lead. You have the vision none of my boys possess. One day. Always one day. The meeting concludes with handshakes and backslaps for Marco. I gather my original sketches, now redundant, and slip them into my portfolio. 10 years of this pattern. My innovations driving record profits while my name remains buried in small print. The rising star of Moretti Fashions whose light illuminates everyone but herself. The boardroom empties until only my father remains, reviewing notes at the table's head. A word I say, closing the door behind the last departing executive. Giuseppe glances up, already frowning at the interruption. Make it quick, Clara. I have calls to return. That was my collection. My research, my designs, my vision. He sighs, removing his reading glasses. Business is business, Clara. Marco presented it better. Because you gave him my work. The accusation hangs between us, neither confirmed nor denied. Marco heads the development division, he says, as if this explains everything. Your cups were shared with his team for refinement. Without my knowledge. I place my hands flat on the table, leaning forward. How many times will you do this? Promise me leadership while undermining me at every turn? Something hardens in his face. Fashion empires aren't built by women, Karamia. You create the art. Your brothers built the legacy. The words strike with surgical precision, confirming what I've suspected for years. There is no future here where I am valued. No timeline where my contributions rise above my gender. I straighten, a strange calm settling over me. With deliberate movements, I remove my company ID badge from around my neck. The plastic feels insignificant in my palm after all these years. Clara, my father warns, recognizing something in my expression. I place the badge on his desk, aligning it perfectly with the edge of his leather blotter. Clara, he repeats, sharper now. But I'm already walking away, the click of my heels on marble marking the death of a decade's illusion. The door closes behind me with quiet finality, separating the woman I was from the woman I must become. I meet Roberto Vasquez at a charity gala 3 weeks after walking out of Moretti Fashions. He approaches with champagne and a smile that reaches his eyes, his attention focused on me instead of the influential crowd surrounding us. "You're Clara Moretti," he says, not a question, but a declaration. "Your winter collection last year was brilliant. The bias, cut evening gowns, revolutionary." My glass pauses halfway to my lips. Fashion executives rarely remember the designer behind the label, especially when that designer stands in her father's shadow. "You noticed." "I notice everything worth seeing." His eyes, warm amber, hold mine without wavering. Roberto courts me with the precision of a military campaign. Flowers delivered to my apartment, dinner reservations at restaurants with month-long waiting lists, handwritten notes tucked into the pocket of my coat. Each gesture carefully calibrated to make me feel seen after years of invisibility. When he proposes 6 months later, I say yes before he finishes asking. My new last name feels like freedom. My father doesn't attend the wedding. The first year passes in a blur of happiness. Roberto's executive position at a luxury hotel chain means social gatherings where I'm introduced as my brilliant wife, the designer. His pride in my talent feels like oxygen after years of suffocation. I sketch a resort wear collection for his company. My name appears on the label. Sophia arrives 10 months after our wedding, Isabella 16 months after that. I create a small studio in our Miami home where I balance motherhood with freelance design work. The change happens so gradually I almost miss it. "That dress makes you look cheap," Roberto says one evening before a corporate dinner. His tone casual, almost bored. "Wear the blue one." I change clothes without argument. The criticisms multiply. My sketches are amateur, my cooking bland, my friends beneath us. Each comment delivered with the same detached tone, as if noting the weather. The first time he grips my arm hard enough to bruise, we're arguing about a design commission I've accepted without his permission. "You embarrass me," he says, voice low and controlled even as his fingers dig into my flesh. A Vasquez woman doesn't work like some common shop girl. I stare at the 5 purple marks on my skin that night, waiting until he sleeps before applying concealer. The next morning, I decline the commission with an apologetic email. Roberto brings home diamond earrings as a reward. The calculations begin. How many bruises equal financial security? How many insults balance against my daughter's having a father? The mathematics of survival. I master the art of anticipating his moods. I learn which topics ignite his temper, which clothes trigger his disapproval, which tone of voice soothes his ego. I shrink my existence to fit within the narrow boundaries of his approval. Until the Tuesday afternoon, I find Sophia pressed against the living room wall, eyes wide with fear as Roberto looms over her. "What did I tell you about making noise during my calls?" His finger jabs toward her chest, not touching but threatening. "She's 5, I say, moving between them. She was playing." His face transforms, rage vanishing beneath a mask of paternal concern. "I was just explaining." "Don't." The word escapes before I can stop it. That night, Roberto sleeps deeply, thanks to the extra sleeping pill crushed into his bourbon. I move through our house like a ghost, gathering essentials in 3 small suitcases, birth certificates, medical records, the children's favorite stuffed animals, 4 outfits each, my portfolio and design tools. "Mommy?" Isabella blinks sleepily as I lift her from bed. "Where we going?" "On an adventure," I whisper, heart hammering as Roberto shifts in our bedroom down the hall. "But we have to be very quiet." The Miami bus station at 3 a.m. smells of disinfectant and desperation. Sophia clutches my hand while Isabella sleeps against my shoulder. The fluorescent lights cast everyone in sickly yellow. My daughters and I wait 6 hours for the bus heading north, our suitcases forming a protective barrier around our bench. When we arrive in Fort Lauderdale, rain falls in sheets. We huddle beneath the station awning, Isabella crying from hunger, Sophia unnaturally silent. My financial calculation: hotel or food? Not enough for both. First day's always the hardest, says a voice beside me. The woman must be 80, her dark face mapped with wrinkles, gray hair pulled into a tight bun. She holds out half a sandwich wrapped in wax paper. For the little one, she says, "You look like you need a minute to think." I accept the food with shaking hands. "Thank you." I'm Carmela. She nods toward a weathered apartment building visible across the street. "Got a spare room if you need it, just until you get settled." I should refuse. Strange woman, strange city. But her eyes hold no pity, only practical assessment. Just until I find something. I agree. Carmela's spare room smells of mothballs and coffee. The girls fall asleep on the narrow bed while I stare out the window at rain-washed streets. For the first time in 18 months, I draw a full breath. 3 days later, Elaine from design school calls, responding to my desperate email. "I can throw some freelance work your way," she says. Nothing glamorous. Department store catalogs, generic resort wear. Anything, I tell her. I can design anything. Carmela watches the girls while I sketch late into the night. Isabella and Sophia bloom in her kitchen, helping to roll Cuban pastries and learning Spanish phrases. Our temporary arrangement stretches into weeks, then months. "Stay," Carmela says when I find enough money for a security deposit. The girls need stability. You need help. I need company. We move into the first-floor apartment when it becomes vacant. I convert the second bedroom into a studio where I sketch by lamplight after the girls are asleep. My hands remember their purpose. My mind clears of fear. 3 years pass. 3 years of catalog designs and uncredited commercial work. 3 years of Carmela's wisdom and my daughter's resilience. 3 years without looking over my shoulder. Then my father calls. "Clara," Giuseppe says, his voice aged since I last heard it. "The company needs you. You need me or the company needs me." The distinction matters. A pause. Both. The youth line is failing. The board wants fresh direction. I close my eyes, remembering the boardroom where my ideas were stolen. The office where my contributions were erased. I have my own business now. An exaggeration of my freelance work, but the conviction is real. We can offer security. Benefits for the girls. Your name on the credits. His words touched the exact nerve he intended my children's future. Isabella needs braces. Sophia's school recommends testing for gifted programs. My freelance income barely covers rent and groceries. I'll think about it. That night, I watch my daughter sleeping. Sophia's dark lashes against her cheeks, Isabella's hand curled beneath her chin. They deserve more than this apartment. More than secondhand clothes. More than a mother perpetually exhausted from working through the night. But they also deserve more than a mother who surrenders her dignity for financial ease. My father's company represents everything I fled, both the false family loyalty and the pattern of using women's talent while denying their value. But it also represents opportunity, resources, a platform I could potentially use on my own terms. I make my decision while tracing Sophia's forehead with my fingertip. 1 week later, I step through the polished glass doors of Moretti Luxury Fashions, head high, portfolio clutched in my hand. Eyes follow my progress across the marble lobby. Whispers trail in my wake. Daddy's little girl came running back. Heard she was living in some dump. Guess independence didn't work out so well. My father waits in the atrium, cameras positioned to capture our reunion. His arms open wide as he approaches, his smile practiced for the press. "Welcome home, Clara," he says loudly enough for the photographers to hear. His embrace feels foreign against my body. I've forgotten how to play this role of dutiful daughter, but for Sophia and Isabella I can learn again. "The youth line needs your vision," he continues, guiding me toward the elevators. "Your unique perspective." I recognize the calculation in his eyes. My failure in the wider world serves his narrative, the prodigal daughter returning humbled and grateful. The business papers will frame this as Giuseppe Moretti's generosity, not Clara Moretti's talent. But I have made calculations of my own. The elevator doors close on the flashbulbs and whispers. I turn to face my father directly. Let's be clear, I say quietly. I'm here for my children's security, not for your approval. Not anymore. Something flickers across his face, surprise. Perhaps respect before his businessman's mask returns. Of course, he answers smoothly. Business is business. The elevator rises, carrying us toward a future neither of us can fully predict. I've returned to the lion's den, but this time, I understand the rules of survival. The magazine cover gleams under the fluorescent lights of my office. My designs grace the model on the cover, the asymmetrical neckline, the sustainable fabric blend I fought to incorporate, the precise shade of coral that took 6 revisions to perfect. Everything except my name appears in the feature article about Moretti's revolutionary new direction. I trace my finger over the glossy page. 3 years back at my father's company, and this pattern remains unchanged. My designs transform the youth line. Sales climb. Fashion writers praise the innovation. Yet Marco stands at podiums accepting awards, while I sit in the back row, a nameless architect of his success. Clara? Elaine knocks at my door, her smile tight with worry. They want you in the executive conference room. I straighten my burgundy blazer, slipping the magazine into my drawer. Another emergency meeting about the fall collection? Your father called it. That's all I know. The hallway to the conference room stretches longer each time I walk it. Photographs of 3 generations of Moretti men line the walls. Not a single woman among them, despite my grandmother's legendary skill with needle and thread. The room falls silent when I enter. Board members adjust their ties. My brothers sit on either side of my father, a united front. On the projection screen, sales figures for my youth line fill a chart with upward trending arrows. Ah, Clara. My father gestures to an empty chair, not beside him but across the table. We were discussing the remarkable success of the youth collection. 200% increase over projected earnings. I settle into the chair, crossing my legs at the ankle. The Miami retailers can't keep the summer pieces in stock. Antonio taps his pen against his teeth. Indeed, Marco's leadership has been exceptional. My hands remain folded in my lap, hiding white knuckles. Marco's leadership? The budget meeting. My father continues, ignoring my question. We need to make adjustments for next quarter. The CFO clicks to the next slide. Red slashes cut through my department's budget. Design team reduced. Material allowances sliced by 30%. Marketing allocations transferred to menswear. With respect, I say, my voice surprisingly steady. You're cutting Reese's from your most profitable division. Streamlining, corrects Marco, not looking up from his notes. The board agrees the investment should shift to areas with growth potential. My department has the highest growth. The company's direction is set. My father interrupts. Any further questions can be addressed privately. The meeting adjourns with handshakes all around. No one meets my eyes. Back in my office, I unlock my desk drawer, extracting a folder I've compiled over months. Inside, memos with my design concepts, timestamps showing submission dates, emails where I detailed innovations all later presented as Marco's work. Most damning, a directive from my father to the marketing department instructing them to credit the Moretti brothers for the new collection's vision. That evening, rain taps against my windshield as I drive to my father's estate. Sunday evening, sacred gardening time for Giuseppe Moretti, when he tends his prized roses regardless of weather. Some of my earliest memories involve holding a watering can in this garden, desperate for his rare smile of approval. I find him kneeling by his white roses, pruning shears in hand, rain jacket glistening with moisture. Clara? He frowns at my unexpected appearance. Is something wrong with the girls? Sophia and Isabella are fine. I move closer, sheltered by the gazebo that overlooks his garden. We need to talk, Papa. His weathered face hardens, reading something in my expression. Business discussions belong in the office. Then consider this a family discussion. I open the folder, protected in a plastic sleeve against the rain. One by one, I place the documents on the stone bench between us. He doesn't look at them. What is this theatrical display? Evidence. 3 years of systematic erasure. My voice remains quiet, almost lost beneath the rainfall. Every concept I've created, reassigned. Every innovation stripped of my name. You're being dramatic. He removes his gardening gloves one finger at a time. Business isn't personal, Clara. Isn't it? When you sign directives ensuring your daughter receives no credit for her work? A flash of something guilt perhaps crosses his face before disappearing. You've received generous compensation. The Moretti name benefits all of us. A name that will never include me in its legacy. Rain drips from the gazebo roof, marking seconds of silence. My father sighs, standing with a wince that betrays his aging joints. I've been considering a title change for you. Associate Creative Director has a nice ring. The words land hollow, like stones dropping into still water. A meaningless title, while my work continues to enrich my brothers. No. The single word carries the weight of decades. That night, I stand in my childhood bedroom, now a guest room in my father's house where the girls and I have lived since my return to the company. Awards from design school line the walls, alongside competition ribbons and framed sketches from my early career. One by one, I remove them. Each leaves a lighter rectangle on the wallpaper, markers of aspirations now fully understood. Into a cardboard box they go, along with the framed photograph of me standing between my brothers at my graduation, my father's hand on Marco's shoulder. Morning finds me at the kitchen table, the resignation letter centered on Moretti letterhead. Sophia and Isabella enter in their school uniforms, immediately sensing something different in the air. "Mom?" Sophia asks, her 14-year-old intuition razor sharp. "What's happening?" I pour orange juice into their glasses, the routine motions at odds with the seismic shift beneath our lives. We're leaving Grandpa's house, and I'm leaving the company. Isabella's eyes widen, milk glass suspended halfway to her lips. "Where will we go?" "I've rented an apartment near your school." I reach across the table, taking each of their hands. "And we're going to build something of our own." 2 weeks later, I convert the apartment's spare room into a studio. Whiteboards line the walls, fabric swatches spread across a folding table. The bank loan officer's skeptical expression still burns in my memory. His dismissive glance at my business plan, his questions about male partners in my venture. But the loan came through. $5,000. Enough to start. Isabella's homework paper sits on my makeshift desk. My first independent design sketched in the margins a blouse with architectural lines and practical hidden pockets, something a woman running her own life would wear. A knock at the door interrupts my revisions. "Delivery for Claire Moretti," calls the courier. I sign for the package, fingers trembling slightly as I open it. Inside, a simple white box holds my first order of business cards. I lift one, running my thumb across the embossed letters. Clara Moretti Designs. Sophia peers over my shoulder, her fingers lightly touching the cards. "They're beautiful, Mom." "Yes," I whisper, placing one on the refrigerator with a magnet. "They are." My sewing machine hums in the corner of our apartment, a midnight lullaby that keeps my daughters asleep while I work. My fingers guide crimson fabric beneath the needle, the final piece of my first independent collection. 5 designs, just 5. Not the dozens I created at Moretti, but these are mine alone. "Mama?" Sophia stands in the doorway, hair tousled from sleep. It's past midnight. I smile without stopping. "Just finishing. Go back to bed, Corita." "You said that 2 hours ago." She shuffles to my side, running her fingers along the finished garments hanging on the rack, a blazer with sculptural shoulders, slim trousers with hidden stretch panels, a reversible wrap dress, a silk blouse with convertible sleeves, and what will soon be a pencil skirt with a walking pleat. Professional pieces that transform. Like me. "Will anyone buy them?" Sophia asks, voicing my unspoken fear. I lift my foot from the pedal. "We'll find out tomorrow." "What do you mean you can't do less than 100 units? I press the phone tighter to my ear while sorting breakfast cereal for Isabella. I have the patterns finalized, the samples completed. The manufacturer cuts me off with practiced politeness. The fourth rejection this week. Isabella crunches her cereal, watching me over the bowl. Nobody wants to make your clothes? Not yet. I ruffle her hair. But they will. 3 calls later, I find a small factory owner willing to gamble on 25 pieces of each design. The cost eats most of my savings, but watching the first completed garments arrive feels like witnessing births. That night, Isabella and Sophia help me pack shipments at our kitchen table. Sophia carefully folds each piece in tissue paper, while Isabella places my handwritten thank you notes atop each one. Who buys clothes in boxes? Isabella asks, sealing another package. Women who deserve beautiful things delivered with care, I answer. When Valentina, owner of a small Miami boutique, calls to place a second order, the girls dance around the kitchen. Our first repeat customer. A beginning. The phone rings during dinner 3 weeks later. Marco's name flashes on the screen. Aren't you going to answer? Sophia asks. I take another bite of fish. No. Later, I listen to his voicemail. Playing dress up on your own now, Clara? Papa says it's cute you found a hobby to keep busy. Call if you need real work again. I delete it without response. At family dinner the following Sunday, the monthly obligation I maintain for my daughter's sake, me father pats my hand. This little side project keeps you busy, yes? Good for you. The Moretti door remains open when you're ready to return to serious business. I butter my bread. How thoughtful. Antonio chuckles. Her little dress is in that beach shop. Very quaint. I don't defend myself. Don't mention the second boutique that placed an order yesterday. Don't reveal my plans for expansion. Let them believe what comforts them. Miss Moretti? The woman standing in my doorway clutches a magazine. I'm Judith Williams, buyer for Callaway's department stores. I glance at the messy apartment behind me, fabric swatches covering the sofa, order forms stacked on the coffee table, my makeshift studio consuming the dining room. I read about your designs here. She holds up a regional business magazine with a small feature about local entrepreneurs. My photo occupies a corner of page 17. May I see your collection? 2 hours later, she places an order for 300 pieces. Department store distribution. I maintain composure until she leaves, then collapse against the closed door. Girls, I call out. Come quick. Sophia and Isabella run from their bedroom. I wave the purchase order like a winning lottery ticket. What is it? Isabella asks. Our future. That night, we dance around the living room, jumping on furniture in celebration. For the first time since leaving Moretti, I feel certain we'll survive. Real women don't look like mannequins, I tell the photographer. I want models who actually rep my customers. He raises an eyebrow. You mean plus size? I mean women with actual lives. Lawyers, doctors, executives. Women with curves and angles and stories in their faces. My marketing campaign features professionals wearing my clothes in their actual workplaces. Not airbrushed fantasies, but attainable elegance. The comfort stretch fabric innovations that Moretti rejected become my signature pieces that move with women through their complicated days. When the first sales reports arrived from Callaway's, I read them 3 times to confirm. Sold out. First week. Reorders pouring in. Fashion bloggers begin writing about the working woman's revolution. About clothes designed by someone who understands what professional women actually need. I hire Daniela and Lena, 2 talented designers turned away by major houses for being too practical in their approach. Their eyes widen when they see the rented office space says small but legitimately ours, with Clara Moretti designs etched on the door. Welcome, I tell them, handing over their key cards, to a place where women build for women. As we toast with cheap champagne and paper cups, I remember Marco's mocking phone call. Playing dress up, he called it. But he was wrong. This isn't play. This is revolution, one stitch at a time. The television flickers in my otherwise dark office, casting blue shadows across the polished concrete floors. On screen, my father squints against camera lights, his once commanding posture diminished beneath an expensive suit that hangs slightly loose at the shoulders. Market volatility has affected luxury brands across the board. He insists to the business reporter, who doesn't bother hiding her skepticism. Moretti remains positioned for recovery by fourth quarter. I mute the sound but can't look away. 3 years since I walked out of his boardroom, and now Giuseppe Moretti looks every one of his 72 years. The ticker scrolling beneath him tells the real story. Moretti shares down 43% this quarter, major restructuring expected. My phone buzzes with a text from Elaine. Are you watching this train wreck? I don't respond. Something complicated twists in my chest watching my father's performance, quite satisfaction, not quite sorrow. The news cuts to file footage of Marco outside corporate headquarters last week, blaming unprecedented retail challenges while straightening his tie with manicured fingers. His youth line with the soul, stripped out fills the background montage. Racks of garments with slashed price tags, empty store displays where mannequins wear expressions more animated than the clothes. Sophia appears in my doorway, 14 now, with her grandmother's perceptive eyes. Is that Grandpa? Yes. I don't elaborate, don't poison her with the history. She knows enough. He looks old, she observes, leaning against the door frame. The reporter returns with industry analysts predicting bankruptcy proceedings within months, luxury conglomerate vultures already circling. I switch off the television. Work stuff? Sophia asks. I nod, smiling at my daughter. Nothing important. When the first major department store canceled their Moretti Youth Line orders 3 months ago, I felt the industry ripples. When Marco's hasty redesign flopped at Milan Fashion Week, whispers reached me through fabric suppliers and former colleagues. But watching the actual collapse unfold carries no sweetness. The empire my grandfather built, that my father expanded, that I once thought would be my legacy reduced to cautionary business school case studies. My showroom buzzes with energy these days. 28 employees, distribution in 14 states, features in every major women's magazine. We've outgrown 2 office spaces already. Success tastes better than revenge. Which is why when my receptionist calls to say Giuseppe Moretti is in our lobby without an appointment, something in me goes very still. Tell him I'm in a meeting, I say automatically. But Sophia, still in the doorway, raises an eyebrow. You always told us to face problems directly. My daughter, teaching me my own lessons. Send him back. I tell the receptionist, then turn to Sophia. Would you ask Isabella to come in here, please? By the time my father appears in my doorway, both my daughters flank my desk like sentinels. 3 generations of Moretti women, though only one bears the burden of the name professionally. Giuseppe stops short seeing the girls. Something flickers in his eyes, surprise, perhaps regret. The tailored suit can't disguise how time and stress have consumed him. The commanding presence that once filled boardrooms has contracted to the essentials. An old man with tired eyes. Clara, he says, the accent of his native Italy, thickening as it always does, under strain. Papa. The word feels strange in my mouth after so long. He glances at my daughters, hesitating. They stay, I say quietly. Whatever you have to say can be said in front of them. He nods once, shifts his weight. I need your help. The room falls silent, except for the hum of air conditioning and distant office voices. My daughters remain perfectly still beside me, witnesses to this moment I never imagined would come. The company is in trouble. He spreads his hands, a gesture of uncharacteristic vulnerability. The board meeting yesterday, it was not good. The shareholders, they want answers I don't have. I'm aware of the situation. My voice remains steady. You could save it. His eyes hold mine. Your designs, your vision, it's what we lost when you left. Come back, take over the youth division completely. No interference. When I don't immediately respond, he adds, you'll inherit it all eventually anyway. Why let it collapse before then? My daughters shift beside me, and I place one hand on Isabella's shoulder, drawing strength from her warmth. Water, Papa? I gesture toward the carafe on my credenza. He nods, and I pour a glass, watching the liquid catch light from the windows that showcase the Miami skyline. I hand it to him, our fingers briefly touching the first physical contact in years. I study him as he drinks. This man who shaped me through both gifts and wounds. This man who dismissed my gender as a business liability. This man who now needs what he once discarded. The power to refuse him settles in my hands, tangible as fabric, as satisfying as I once imagined it would be. And yet, no, Papa. My voice gentle but firm. I won't come back, but I have a different solution. Confusion crosses his face. What solution? I open my desk drawer and withdraw a portfolio, placing it before him. Moretti Home Collections. Kitchenware, linens, decorative items designed with the same eye for elegance and function that built our fashion reputation. He frowns, not understanding. You want to license our name? I want to extend it. A separate division under my direction. New markets, new customers, but connected to the legacy. This isn't about destroying you, I continue as he flips through the concept sketches. It's about creating something new beside you, not beneath you. Giuseppe looks up, his expression unreadable. I don't understand. You could take everything now. I smile, feeling my daughter's presence like pillars beside me. That's exactly why I won't. Sunlight streams across my kitchen counter, catching the copper accents of my newest creation, a sauté pan, with subtle curves that fit a woman's hand perfectly. I run my fingers along the handle, feeling the balance. 5 months since launch, and my kitchenware line has surpassed even my most ambitious projections. The waiting list grows daily. Mom, the Times wants another interview. Sophia places my ringing phone on the counter, then returns to her homework. At 14, she's already developing my eye for color, though her sketches lean toward architecture rather than fashion. Tell them I'm creating. I wink at her. She knows the routine. Isabella slides into the kitchen in sock feet, her dark curls bouncing. The truck is here with more boxes. My company has outgrown the spare bedroom, then the garage, and now occupies a renovated warehouse in downtown Miami. 30 woman designers, marketers, accountants all building, something that bears no shadow of my father's name, just mine. Clara Moretti Design stands alone, my vision unfiltered. Will Julian be here for dinner? Isabella asks, her 11-year-old face brightening at his name. Julian. The thought of him brings unexpected warmth. We met 3 months ago at my neighborhood book club, the one activity I permit myself outside work and motherhood. He asked thoughtful questions about Marquez's magical realism, not my business success or family connections. His eyes warm brown with flecks of gold saw me, not my labels or legacy. 6 o'clock, I answer, watching Isabella's smile widen. My daughters approved it before I allowed myself to. The doorbell rings. Isabella races to answer while Sophia pretends teenage indifference. I see her smoothing her hair, straightening her posture. Julian brings books for both girls, never forgetting their different tastes. My phone buzzes again, not pressed this timey financial advisor. The quarterly report on my most private investment. No one knows I've been buying shares in Moretti Luxury Fashions through a holding company. Not even Julian. The company my father built has been floundering since I left, but my anonymous guidance through intermediaries has stopped the bleeding. 3 consecutive quarters of stability. Why did I save them? The question haunts my quietest moments. Not for revenge, not even for eventual control. Perhaps for the frightened young designer who once believed her father hung the moon. You. My father's voice cracks as he stares at the financial documents spread across my dining table. His silver hair catches the chandelier light, making him look older, frailer than his 68 years. Julian has taken the girls for ice cream, giving us privacy. The family dinner where I finally revealed the truth wasn't in my 5-year plan, But Sophia's slip about Grandpa's company doing better forced my hand. You saved us. Giuseppe's hands tremble on the paper showing my substantial ownership. All this time while I thought, well, you thought I was focused on destroying you. I pour him sparkling water, no ice. The way he's always preferred it. His eyes me eyes, in an older face filled with unfamiliar moisture. Clara, I don't deserve. This isn't about deserving, Papa. I sit across from him, our knees almost touching. It's about choosing who I want to be. He reaches for my hand, hesitates, then completes the motion. His callous palm covers mine for the first time in years. We sit in silence, the clock ticking softly on the wall, measuring the space between what was and what might be. Thank you, he whispers finally, his voice raw, then softer still. And I love you. Words I never thought I'd hear from Giuseppe Moretti's lips. I don't reply. Some wounds take more than words to heal. Outside, car doors slam. The girls' laughter drifts through the window, Julian's deeper voice joining theirs. My family both chosen and blood coming together under my roof, on my terms.